What do you recommend as a good first Italic nib? And it's very fitting that we had this as the question that kind of kicks off this week, because we just launched a video on how to use a stub nib, or how to write with a stub nib. It's part of our Fountain Pen 101 series. Drew and I worked together on this video. Worked really well. Drew's really awesome, and the dynamic that he and I have together is really fun because you may not know, but Drew and I actually went to elementary school together. We've known each other since the 3rd grade. So that's been kind of fun to work with him, and he's been working here for the last almost 5 years now. Been pretty wild. So he's like my right-hand guy when it comes to product knowledge. He's our customer care manager and handles a lot of different pens, as far as, you know, ones that are returned and inspecting them, and when people are asking, you know, for special circumstances and stuff like that, he's one that inspects a lot of pens. So he will often, be a good resource for me when I'm preparing certain videos like this. So he works because he's like very much, in the trenches as far as, your customer interaction when you're actually purchasing stuff. And then I'm doing a lot of videos and promotional kind of stuff. So when we come together like this, we get kind of the best of both worlds. So I talked to Drew and I'm like, hey, Drew, can you help me come up with this video? And it was actually kind of a video that he said, hey, look, could we do something like this? We get a lot of questions about stub nibs. They're kind of all over the place. How about you and I come together? And so there's a nice merging of the minds there. So we put this together, this video. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Jenny did a phenomenal job of cutting it together and helping plan it out. I'm happy to say that I actually didn't do most of the heavy lifting for this video. Drew helped me to prep it and shot a lot of the B-roll and stuff like that. So as I've been really, really busy lately, it's been really great to rely on, very competent members of my team to help out with that kind of stuff. So I really want to give Drew and Jenny props for that particular video. So anyway, enough gushing about that one, but it's a really, really great resource. We're talking about all different kinds of stub nibs. So that's a really good one to watch. I also have a Fountain Pen 101 video on nib sizes and grinds. It's a very basic video that just talks about all kinds of nib sizes, not specifically stubs. This stub video just kind of builds upon that one. But I would say if there was one that I had to kind of pick as the best intro stub, the simplest and easiest one to kind of go with, it's also very reliable, is either Lamy Safari or Lamy All-Star. Now, granted, there's not a lot of the Lamy pens that actually come with a stub nib on them. You need to get the nib separately and kind of swap it. That's kind of a pain just because, I wish they would just kind of offer it on there, but the nibs are really easy to take on and off. You can use a piece of Scotch tape, which I have some right here actually. I have a whole video on how to do this called, swapping Lamy nibs with tape. You just take the tape on it, put it like that, and then you can just pull it off like that. Sometimes you can do it just with your fingers, which is what I just tried, and it didn't work. So the tape helps a lot, and just a little piece of Scotch tape like that. And you can swap the nibs, and then you can put your Italic nib on there. I recommend the 1.1 as the one to go with, especially if it's a first Italic nib. You can get a 1.5 and a 1.9 on the Lamy, but honestly, those two are so much broader. They're good for doing calligraphy and stuff like that, but for practical everyday writing, it's not nearly as ideal as the 1.1. So that's the one that I always recommend going to for a first stub nib. And they're just great, reliable pens. They're good starters. They're workhorses. And the stub nibs that they have on these pens is really pretty reliable, and they write just nice all around. So that's why I always recommend kind of going to these. Another one that I would recommend as kind of an alternate option, I'm a big fan of our Goulet 1.1 nibs, of course. And you can actually swap those out, put them on a Jinhao, or put them on a Noodler's Ahab. Now that process is also fairly straightforward. It's not quite as easy as the Lamy necessarily, because you have to remove the nib and the feed together and then put it on there, but it's not super complicated either. And if you watch the Goulet nib video that I have, I show you exactly how to do that on the Ahab at least. I don't think I have the Jinhao on there actually, but it's a similar concept. So it's pretty easy to swap that on there, and you can get a 1.1 nib. So I'm sorry that both of my recommendations involve you kind of hacking your pens a little bit. Probably should have thought of one that didn't involve you doing that, but those are honestly the best options that I can think of as far as those. And yeah, that's kind of where I'll leave that question.